Lamar Jackson had a magical 2019 season for the ages, on the way to being named the unanimous MVP. The Baltimore Ravens took the league by storm en route to going 14-2 and finishing as the best team in the regular season. However, 2020 has largely been a different story. The Ravens currently sit at 6-4 after losing 2 in a row and currently sit at 3rd in the AFC North behind the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. Jackson has seriously regressed this season, and the Ravens look like a completely different team. But why? First, I'd like to acknowledge that the majority of the people who watch our videos aren't subscribed to the channel. Help us out by subscribing and joining us on our way to 100K because it's coming fast and you don't want to miss your opportunity to enlist in the J&D Army. Lamar Jackson took the NFL by storm in 2019. Jackson passed for 3,127 yards and 36 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. He also added 1,206 yards and 7 touchdowns on the ground. He went 13-2 as the starter, and the Baltimore Ravens had a first-round playoff bye. That was before they were upset by the Tennessee Titans. Jackson was the unanimous MVP and established himself as one of the best players in the league. But in 2020, Jackson has been far from the same player. When a player has a monster season like Jackson did in 2019, people are left wondering if teams can figure out how to stop him effectively for the next year. This was the big question about Patrick Mahomes after his 2018 MVP campaign. Mahomes was able to adapt, but Jackson hasn't had the same luck early in 2020. Teams likely studied all the Ravens' offense and how they could stop Jackson, and it seemed to work to some extent. The difference between Mahomes and Jackson is teams did different things to try to slow down Mahomes, but he continued to beat them in different ways. For Jackson, it seems that you can slow him down on his feet and make him throw the ball. You can stop him. The biggest issue for the Ravens offense is that they're predictable. That gives the defense an idea of what's coming. The first instance we saw of this was in the Ravens' 28-24 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 8. Steelers linebacker Alex Highsmith intercepted Jackson in the third quarter of the contest. After the game, he essentially told the media he knew where the pass was going.
I knew when that play started, I knew that they were coming back to that because they were in the same play in the first half, and I didn't drop deep enough. He threw it over my head, and so I learned from that play and just dropped deeper. The ball fell right to my hand. So
then last Wednesday, Jackson went on the Rich Eisen show where he expressed his concern that defensives knew what they were doing.
They calling out our plays, stuff like that. Like they know what we're doing. So a lot of that, sometimes stuff won't go our way if they beat us to the punch.
Eisen then pressed Jackson about if he could hear any defenders call out the plays, to which he replied,
"On the other side of the line of scrimmage, the defense calling out your plays?" That's what
they definitely do, like runs, stuff like that. Watch out for this, watch out for that. Sometimes that's what's going on.
The slump of Jackson is present on the field and on the stat sheet. Jackson currently ranks 25th in passing yards in the league. For some better context how bad that is, Dak Prescott sits at 22nd and he hasn't played since Week 5. Jackson tore up the league with 36 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions in 2019, but through 9 games in 2020, he only has 1 less interception to go with 22 less touchdown passes. He is also off pace of his 1,206-yard second season with 524 rushing yards. Jackson is statistically worse in almost every category, along with Baltimore, who after going 14-2 and being the best team in football in 2019, sit at 6-3 and are 3 games behind the Steelers. The Ravens rattled off 12 straight wins in 2019 after starting 2-2. It's hard to give Baltimore a tough time for its 2 losses of the 2020 NFL season, however. In Week 3, they fell to the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs 34-20. Then in Week 8, Baltimore lost to the division rival Steelers 28-24. In no way are the Ravens a bad team for losing these 2, but it does give a simple answer to the worrisome questions many Baltimore fans have. Can the Ravens actually beat the best teams in the league? On Sunday, the Ravens helped answer that question against the Tennessee Titans, who were also in a bit of a slump of their own. The Ravens were up 21-13 going into the fourth quarter. However, Tennessee found themselves up 24-21 late, and the Ravens had to hit a late field goal to even the score and send the game to overtime. Tennessee, however, won the game in overtime with a 29-yard Derrick Henry run that came after a Baltimore 3-and-out. It was an AFC divisional round rematch from 2019 where the Titans won 28-12 on the way to the AFC Championship. Baltimore was in the search of a major bounce back after an awful performance against the New England Patriots in Week 10, but instead they continued its bad skid. The Patriots came into the contest after narrowly defeating the winless New York Jets by 3 to snap a 4-game losing streak. The Patriots, however, were able to get the best of the Ravens 23-17. With only 6 weeks remaining in the season, the Ravens are in a tough spot. They sit 4 games behind the undefeated Steelers in the AFC North, but the unfortunate reality for the Ravens is that they don't even sit at second in the division. The Ravens are in 3rd place, a game behind the Browns, who are 7-3. On the bright side, there is still some season left for Jackson and offensive coordinator Greg Roman to figure things out. The problem is that they are outside of the playoffs looking in right now. If the Ravens are going to make a huge change this season, they're going to have to do it now. The good news is that Baltimore has a couple of cake games for the rest of the season. Aside from matchups against the Steelers and Browns, the rest of their games are against teams with awful records in the Dallas Cowboys, Jacksonville Jaguars, New York Giants, and the Bengals. Lamar Jackson had a stellar 2019 season that helped him win unanimous MVP, but it feels like teams have finally figured him out. The Tennessee Titans laid the foundation in the AFC divisional round, and teams have taken it to heart. If you can stop Jackson from running the ball and force him to beat you with his arm, he probably won't. The Ravens are 3rd in their division, and things are only getting worse as the season goes on. The slump of Lamar Jackson is something we all have to keep our eyes on. Thanks for watching. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter for more J&D. We read all of our DMs and love hearing what you have to say.